Hey, welcome in, guys. Thanks for the late start. Thanks for waiting. I just had to have sleep before getting started today, so and I didn't have my phone near me, so I couldn't set an alarm or remind myself to set an alarm or anything like that. So kind of ran, but I needed it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a little tired, a little headachy. Meals over there. Cool. So I'm going to continue Wolverine today, simply put, and explore just a couple more techniques regarding the ink process I've been using, just to see how this applies to like what I can learn from it, what I feel like the boundaries are, the results, and then how I can apply it to my own comics and graphic novels and characters and that, which has been a great deal of what I've done so far. But this has been a real sort of breakthrough for me, so learning and creating more. There's more ability, so yeah, I'm a little slow tonight, so I'm just going to jump into it and then just start having some fun. So let's hit it. All right. Okay, so that was yesterday's developments. So you can see a couple of textures in here. The one along here was the first sort of development outside the eye, and then this was the second up here. However, it's going to have to change a bit, just because like I really like this style, as in the texture that's in that, but it's a leather mask as well. So I want to run with that. This reminds me a little bit of charcoal, to be honest. Just the look of it. So updating what I've got here, I think what I'll do is I might see if I can just use what I have there already and then just change the shape of it. Okay, so that's the idea, is just sort of creating those little loops, and that it doesn't look like much, but it just skews it in the right direction. So just converting the straight lines to circles and squiggles and that. Okay, yeah, that's just skewing it in direction. It's much better. I mean, I can still use the contouring just to help create a little bit of shadowing. Just trying to avoid straight lines again. As in like a very neat arc for the shape of the head looked kind of unnatural. All right, just had to get that out the way. Oh, hey Kaylee, how you doing? Good morning to you. Thank you so much. If I set up close while you work well with a full piece, so we can see what. Yeah, that was a great little feature there in Procreate. I think Ari asked for it yesterday, and I was like, oh yeah, we can sort of organize that. And she was like, oh, there's the reference tool. Excuse me. There's a reference tool in Procreate. I'm like, oh, of course. Yeah, that actually helps me as well. Like, it's so useful for me. I was like, man, I wish I had a full image so I could see it further away. Because like when I've got a camera on traditional, it's a bigger image on the stream display, and I'm closer up in person, so when I look up I can see further away without having to sit back. It's actually much handier on the stream than it is for me to sit back. more effective too, because it's like square on. And this is the equivalent for the digital. I hope your Friday's looking all right, Kaylee. Not long now. Brewing some coffee, getting ready for work. Awesome. How's the new place? Like, are you happy? It's continuing to be satisfying for you, and you're making it your own. I take it. Adding a bit of flair here and there. I just realized you could probably just about decorate your entire walls with t-shirts that have cool designs on them. I could do the same thing, but not... Yeah, I don't know. Forever unpacking. Very pleased with the space. Oh, that's nice. Been putting up art every day. Nice. Did you get how much you've got as well? Nice. Man, that sounds so good. I'm so happy for you. Yeah. Surround yourself with the good stuff. So the weekend I need to chill. So I'm going to go full Galactus on NFL and the NBA starting week. So I got hours of sweating men playing with sports balls. So I'm going to live vicariously through them. So I'm keen for that, but I'll probably see how much I can just stream. Sportsball, cover 'em all. Work hard, play hard. It's in the game. So yeah, I'm going to cover that as much as I can. Just see how all the guys are going. I like empathizing with their journeys. I like the game. Yeah. I kind of miss being able to play sport. To that competitive. I was very competitive. Back in the sports days, so it comes and goes, and then you got to adapt. Like, so I really do miss it. So the next best thing I can do is just like throw a football or a baseball, or play catch, or go for a ride, or watch other guys have a good time, and it's kind of like, in a very distant sort of way, support some of the best times of their lives as well, I guess. But I'm gonna draw as well, I think. How's your weekend looking? Um, I'll try and stream as much as I can. Like, I say that, but then I normally just stream once for 4 hours. But I'll see if I can sort of hang for longer. I actually have prescribed myself a stress-free weekend and just a bit of a, not so much a reset, more of a just digging into what I really need right now. You're most likely working for most of it. Gotten a few rush orders that are due next week. Ah, okay. All right. So good chance I'll be keeping you company then if I can. Gotham Knights came out today on the video game. Hello. Hello. Meow. Why don't you come over here? Hey? Come on. I think she's requesting that somebody go to bed. That's what she's asking. She can't believe it. Hello? Why don't you come up here? She's just looking at me like I'm not from this planet. You love your Twitch setup at work. You have spaces on the printing presses to place tablets, so you keep it set up where you load and unload the shirts from the machine. Nice. Yeah, it's good to have a bit of fun in the workplace. I obviously I've got 2 monitors at work, so I'll often have a streamer on one and my design on the other throughout the day if I can. Yeah, sounds good. To see and believe in the short side. That I have life. I was hanging out with a new streamer today. I wasn't talking a lot just because they had 4 people on. They had, yeah, 3 other people besides the streamer sharing. It was actually enjoyable. Like they were kind of funny, and it was really good. Usually he's calling. Ooh, yeah. Who was it now? Let's check who I was hanging out. Oh yeah, Michael Dean Nicola. Michael Dean Nicola. I was hanging out with him today a little bit. He was doing some drawing. They were just talking about like one of their friends' cultures, Italian culture, and that a fair bit, and having a joke and all the rest. See if I can pick up the pace a little bit. Oh, this sounds like a new one to me. Master. take a while to build up this one, I think. But that's what it takes. just takes time, I think, just to get this done. It's not that complicated, these large spaces. But Arthur Adams actually had these massive backdrops on his characters that were just hatching in every direction, so it was like large scape sort of hatching, as well as like, but done all in like these fine sort of thatching sort of patches of. Yeah, it was really interesting how much detail he puts into it. So you look at it and you think, well, I would like to achieve something that complicated in my life. I don't want to just be a bystander, but I want to understand it. I don't want to just do it for the sake of saying, yeah, I can do that too. I actually want to have an ownership of that procedure. I don't want to just copy it. I want to actually have a signature and a motivation and a reason why I'm doing it, so that I'm meant to be in that place of a hyper detailed artist as well. that's alright, it's a seam there. That's right, yeah, that's a seam. Cut it. I might just leave it as that sharper sort of edge for now. Just so it, I don't know, it looks like a different construction, like something that's been like sort of attached on in post. So I'm just gonna sort of like make sure that that's a thing. And just like make sure that that line is pretty sort of clean there. For now, at least, anyway. So for now, I'll just make sure that my hatching doesn't cross that line. Until I figure out like what I'm doing with it. But that kind of looks cool. And it's one of the things that just interrupts the chaos. Hey Statics, how you doing? What up, my dude? Wolverine is coming along. He wants to come along faster, but he can't because he's got a slotherine. He's just a little slow at making it happen. But how you doing? Ooh. Audio. Is that the... No, that's not the song, that's the original. Is that my headphones, or... I think it might be... I'm just going to restart. Spotify. Okay. Smooth travels. You're doing good, Static. Just taking a breather because you woke up feeling like doing everything. Just kind of need to calm down, let your brain focus so you can get something done. Yeah. Yep. Line up those ducks. Let the planets align. And strategically snipe them off the list. Nothing feels better as an artist than setting out to achieve what you deep down know is going to be the most productive and rewarding results for the hours of a day. And just bundling all that up and then putting into a nice package called Friday, the 21st of October 2022, marked in history as the day stuff happened on an ultimate level of productivity. If you're only focusing on the one day, like you plan ahead, but you focus on the here and now, and you go ultra productive. Don't identify all distractions and low value pursuits, and emphasize the real investments, the real payoffs. Bring it all in. You got to get the eyes of the tiger, or else you'll never get your prey. That's it. You know it. It is. It's facts. You don't see gazelle hunting lions down, do you? No, they just want to mosey around in the grass. It's a figure of speech, anyway, Tom. Okay, light source. Okay, so I'm going to do the shadow for the ear up there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off there, because the back of the head is going to be rim lit. At least that's what I think. Let me see if I can cut this in bigger. And I'm just going to erase that edge and just tatter it in. Yeah, no, I'll go a hard line. Or just erase, just ink over what I just did, because that's what's needed. That's what it takes. Admitting your mistakes and making it right. Like the dominant species. No, I'm not talking about males. I'm just talking about humans. excuse me, hue. I believe that to be correct-ish. Way the texture's coming out, really awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. It's the digital ink equivalent of my pencil technique. I started like into it for a bit, and I was like, hang on a second, I'm doing exactly what I do with pencils, which is fine. I don't know why I haven't thought of that before. It has a little similarity to your style as well, so just with the rendering, the overall rendering, I think the sort of what I'm trying to be careful of is, I don't know, like you look at an awesome comic art piece, like any of David Fincher's black and white covers or that kind of thing, and you're like, yep, complete, like comic graphic novel, it's all there, it looks great, and it's at the top end of illustrated, hand illustrated comic art. It's at the top end. Whereas I feel what I'm doing is realism, as opposed to, it's not. There's no rules, but exactly, you know, Alex Ross painted Kingdom Come. The entire volume, entire comic book volume, hand painted, every panel. Not pencils, not quick, not rushed. Everything thought out, planned. Yeah, statics. I wouldn't say this isn't. I wouldn't say this is too far from what your style is, like your graphite style is. To be honest, it's just not. It's not shaded, but it has a similar sort of thing. It's good to be similar, but somewhat different as well. So it's just right. Is inevitable. Stand aside, step aside, we're on the front line. I'm gonna organize myself a haircut tomorrow. Probably just here at home. I gotta tidy up. I just got some bad news today, guys. Actually, and I don't want you to freak out. Because I'm gonna do my best to fix it. So you guys know that I've been getting checkups and seeing the doctor for the past couple of months now, and just having some weird issues with my abdomen and all that, and yeah, just a variety of kind of like little hang-ups and stuff I've been getting affected. Hey Bible Nerd, how you doing? So I finally got a CT scan yesterday, and that was uncomfortable, but it was all right. We got through it. And anyway, results came back. I was actually able to look at each of the different angles of my body, and then like they had like up to a couple of hundred images, and what you do is you take the slider, you move the slider along, and you can see each section of your body in like two dimensions, from going like either this way or like this way or sideways. It was really interesting. And anyway, I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, okay, I can see my in organs and all that kind of stuff, and my spine and everything. I was like, okay, I don't know if there's a problem here. It's really hard to identify, but the doctors, like, I know what anatomy looks like, but the doctors are able to determine what a really bad image version of the anatomy is. Hey Nasty, how you doing? Welcome in. I am not. Anyway, so I spoke to my doctor about the CT scan results today. I was pretty nervous. I was had the adrenaline running because I thought, you know, finding out as an adult that I had like, I think it's mysophobia, or mesophobia. Well, I actually have both, but which is like germophobia. Yeah, I had issues using the bathroom as a kid. It was just too much for me to handle. No one knew what was going on, why that was an issue or whatever. It just seemed like I was difficult. And one of the doctors said this really nasty thing. She's like, oh, if you don't get him to you don't get him to fix his this bad habit of his of like holding off and not going, and that he's going to end up with cancer as an adult, which didn't help at all. Thank you very much, 1980s doctor, or nurse. I think it was actually. It wasn't even a doctor. It was just a nurse. Anyway, so I called my doctor, and actually I got an appointment, and he called me and then said, first up, got your results. So first up, there's no cancer. So that was a big moment for me today, while having to deal with some, what do you want to call it, discrepancies at work, that was causing me to do like 300% of my job, rather than just doing it right the first time and then going, hey, cool, looks great. So I had to do that on top. Like, so I started work today going, I don't know what I'm doing anymore, because it keeps getting changed and being in just a bad sort of professional state to a degree. Not in terms of like coming up with solutions, just like kind of like having the rug pulled out from underneath me every couple of hours because they keep changing their mind. Anyway, I had to deal with that, and then the doctor assuring me that I don't have cancer, but leading up till that point I was like, it could be anything. Like, I've had some bad news in the past, and a lot of the symptoms are pointing in that direction. And then they said, yeah, you've most likely got a inflammation of some sort, that will require specialist investigation. So I've got to organise that fairly immediately. So they they're actually so busy today I couldn't even get a phone call with them, and they didn't pick up. Anyway, so I've got to organise that. The worst case scenario is that I have an uncured disease that won't necessarily affect my life expectancy, but can affect the quality of life. But for people who have this disease, it's not a given that your life will be shortened or ruined. But the inflammation could lead to complications. There's always that chance. It's life, right? And anyway, I looked up the condition and causes, symptoms, variants, and then solutions, things to help ease it, things to do to change the situation to a degree, a new diet as well. So it's part of things that I've eaten in the past, but hasn't been a focal. So literally everything that is central kind of to my current diet is out. So I can't have kind of like fatty or red meats anymore. I can't have alcohol or coffee. So that's pretty much all carbonated stuff. So that's my zero alcohol. Beer is out, alcohol in general. Although I'm not sure about red wine and that sort of thing. I'll find out, because there's a lot of information on what causes inflammation to be worse, but there's no actual cure per se. There is inflammatory, that anti-inflammatory, sorry. That use at different times for different lengths of times, and these things also have to be considered as possible instigators of other issues or other symptoms or what as well. Because a friend of mine who's having treatment for his tumor has been having side effects, organ side effects as well. So there's no just kind of like, oh well, just take this because this is an anti-inflammatory. You have to take everything one step at a time. But today I just asked for an early leave. I finished up and I went home, and before on the way home I got just a different setup of food. So anti-inflammatory food. So it's like white rice, white bread, sourdough bread, mashed potato, low fiber diet. So yogurt, apple puree, that kind of thing, watered down, non-pulp apple juice, ginger, plain chicken, fish, lean meats mostly, so on the white side probably, that kind of thing. Bible note, stay away from sodium, cholesterol, caffeine, sugar, and alcohol. Yeah, so you might. So some of those are inflammatory. Yeah, so if you have I think it's like if you have like bloating in that. Also stay away from high fiber and like fruit and fruit and vegetable skins. So like you can like take the skin off and just break down the fibers of what's underneath, like cooked. Usually it's cooked or pureed, or like soups, like if you roast a pumpkin with the skin cut off, it turns into mash, right? So that's all anti-inflammatory foods. So if you're feeling bloated in the gut, in the intestines and that, and like I've been intermittent fasting for a month now or more. Basically, I eat breakfast, or I might not eat anything, and I'll just have like a coffee in the morning and then lunch and then nothing for the rest of the day, or I'll have breakfast and then I'll have a dinner. And I find like I'm okay. I don't need to eat any more than once to twice a day, really. Because my body's pretty efficient when it comes to that. But also, like, I've been eating also oatmeal, so like oats, but that has been obviously cooked. So yeah, something to work through. It did just hit me a bit today. And I've got, there's plenty of foods around. Like I like poke bowl, which is Japanese sushimi dish with rice, leafy kind of, and then like lotus root, and I just have to like consider like which are the bit like raw tuna and salmon and that as well. So omega 3 fats are good for creating like for streamlining your gut as well. So I'm going to be on a Japanese diet, pretty much from here on, which I'm fine with. Like I've lost something, but I'm also fine. I'm happy in knowing what I need to eat. So I guess the other thing too is like if I'm having carbs and things like that, that I just need to make sure that I'm balancing them, not just going, oh well, this is what I can eat, I'll just eat a lot of that, that'll make me better. Oh yeah, Swarat, the horizontal flipping. It is, so the two hemispheres of our brain function differently. Often you'll see even the face or our body will be asymmetric as well. So that may be the thing that you're drawing is asymmetric to a degree, naturally. Like if I draw Ryan Gosling's face or Harrison Ford, their faces are relatively, you look at them, they're very asymmetric. My face is somewhat asymmetric. When you look at somebody's face that is like, if you know someone whose face is asymmetric, look at their face in the mirror. So look in the mirror to see their reflection and look how different it is. So this is what happens is, you don't have to make sure that your face, the characters' faces that you draw are symmetric. You just have to know that what you're doing is intentional. So when you flip the image, it allows you to see it from it's basically like
if you close one eye all the time and you look at everything through that way, you can't see anything on this side of your face, right? If you close one eye. So imagine if you could only have one eye open at a time. So in order to see what's over there, you have to close your right eye so you can see left and then complete the picture. So when you flip an image, what it does is it allows you to use the same processing that it's like an asymmetric processing of your mind to see the image from your mind's other perspective. It's not using your left side of your brain as opposed to your right. You're still using a certain combination of both hemispheres, a certain percentage of both hemispheres all the time. But we just have this habit of drawing a face a little asymmetrically because we've got an asymmetric perspective. So when you flip it or you use a mirror to look at your work in the mirror, that is how that reveals that asymmetric nature that we have. Now, if I was drawing Ryan Gosling, that's tricky because his face is asymmetric. But I'm also adding my own asymmetry to his face. So if it still pays for me to flip that if I'm trying to draw from memory or even from reference or something. I wouldn't try to draw Ryan Gosling's face from memory. Because like for all likeness stuff for me anyway is like, well, the point is to get their face to look exactly like what it is. If you can do that from memory, then great. Maybe you're partially or completely eidetic and you have that ability. But just do it and see if you notice something's wrong. I think that's the most important sort of learning experience you can have of it. Draw a character, or have a look at your character's faces that you've drawn in the past, and flip them and see if it goes like this to that, and you're like, oh, hang on a second, why? Because sometimes you'll know, like you won't notice like the face is on a curve, or it looks right from you, but you can't see that it's curving, the head's curved or something, until you flip it, and then you go, oh, for some reason I've skewed it off. And then what you do is you can like fix it up using the other perspective and then flip it back again. And it's only really for, I think it's only really for certain sort of structural features, like the face, because it's so, there's so much characteristic in it. It's such a centerpiece to people identifying it. You flip it to see how it's doing. But then you might want to flip hands and feet as well, like things that are kind of focal points. If you've got a character who's kind of like moving in a scene or something like that, a lot of what the body language is going to be asymmetric. When you flip it, you might be just like, okay, it's facing the other way now, I don't see anything wrong with it, then don't worry about it. But if you go, oh, his back is on a really weird curve, or something, then, you know, it's only if you notice something is kind of really strange. If you're drawing characters from scratch, like your own characters, I think flipping is a good idea, just to see if what you're creating is balanced or is working. Microphone feedback. Yeah, so it's always, you know, give it a go. Huggy Higaman just shared something with us here. Let's go there. He just, that's me. Is it finished? Oh, it's work in progress. Huggy Higaman's got a work in progress here he shared. Huggy Higaman. No. Dasu. Code Vein. Yeah, it looks really cool. Where's my... There we go. I like it. Looks very cool. Great foreshortening. Great angle. I think what I might do with the shadow here is just draw the negative in rather than doing too much etching away at the... So I found that just the quality of drawing or erasing the ink is better than just inking over the texture, because what happens is you just end up with like chips of see, I prefer that kind of stippling effect. Than just like scrubbing over top of the white space with the black, because it chips away at the shape and you lose the texture. I kind of feel like I want to change this texture. I'm just going to try something. Hang on a second. Bear with me. So what I'm going to do is like emphasize certain major patterns in the leather texture, like the skin of the leather, whatever beast that this leather is made out of, by creating larger skin sections, which you might find in leather. Might not have to do a whole lot of reshading. I knew that, like I said earlier in this piece, that I won't really know if this is working until I've built it up into the composition. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Sometimes you need the big picture to see how to do the fine details. So what I would combine here is like this craquelure effect in black. And then assisted in white, the edging. So I'll show you how that's done as well. So basically doing like a grid pattern, but really completely random and rampant, like the skin of a cow or whatever, buffalo hide or something. I actually have buffalo hide. I should actually just put that here. It's a lot thicker. Actually, it's kind of similar to that. So what you do now is just on the top side of these sections, just erase it a little bit, just to lift them off the page. And if I can just continue doing this in post, then I will. As in, like, I'll do the texture effect and then I'll add this on top. So once I've got the big picture, sort of the compositional sort of flow down, then I'll roll it out. And I still have to think about global lighting, of course. So I don't want to do these little momentary sort of textures and that without considering how the overall piece looks. So yeah, I don't know if you guys should be able to see that. So what I can do, so it's very matte at the moment. So if you see down here around where the eye is, on the eyebrow, there is a bit of highlighting there, and that's just me coming in afterwards and doing some erasing at the end. And picking and choosing what parts of my work is affected by the lighting, which is the other half of the whole picture, right? Now, at this stage, I want to start thinking about how much this is exposed in the global lighting. So I'm going to start, I think I might come down the other way and then just sort of like sparsely do waypoints, I guess you could call this. That's a nice term for it. Like how strong and how dark this is as it gets up there. And I can sort of like go backwards and forwards and sort of build it in a balanced sense. Oh, kill switch. It's been some time. Yeah. I am with you always. I am with you always. From the top. Oh, different lyrics. Yeah. takes me. Right. Got the greatest voices in rock and hard rock. I am with you always. I am with you. Takes me. Jug, jug, jug. Is it really hard to stop rendering? I just like, how do I, where do I, how? Oh man, I love this sound. Shima, welcome in. Good morning. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's first time just figuring it out. Figuring it out. How you doing? It ends so weird. I think it needs this next song on the album. You're doing great? All right, good to hear. Feel free to share any of your current projects on the Discord. Up to you. The choice